Margaret always did everything right. At 72, she'd outlived her husband, 2 knee surgeries, and her first retirement. Her days began with stretching, a long walk, and a tall glass of water. She was proud of her grocery habits. No soda, no white bread, no junk. Instead, her kitchen was full of what she called God's food. Whole vegetables, good fats, wild-caught fish, and fruit. Bowls of fruit. Grapes, bananas, pineapple chunks. Even her water was flavored with watermelon slices. So when her ankles started swelling one June afternoon, it didn't make sense. The first time, she blamed the heat. The second time, she blamed salt from the salmon. By the third week, when the swelling lingered long past sundown, Margaret knew something wasn't right. Her socks left deep ridges in her skin. She felt puffy, uncomfortable in her shoes. She went in for blood work. Kidneys? Normal. Blood pressure? A little high, but nothing alarming. Her doctor suggested compression socks. Maybe light diuretics. But Margaret noticed something else. Small, creeping changes in her mind. She'd lose her train of thought mid-sentence. Misplace her car keys, then find them in the freezer. It wasn't dramatic, just fog. But it scared her. "I'm eating cleaner than I ever have," she told the new doctor at her follow-up. "I don't drink. I don't eat sugar." The doctor raised an eyebrow. "Let me see your diet." Margaret handed over a food journal she'd kept in a spiral-bound notebook. Neatly listed: oatmeal with banana, mid-morning grapes, lunch salad with a side of pineapple, watermelon water through the day. The doctor took a red pen and quietly circled 4 words. Margaret stared at the page. All 4 were fruits. Fruits she'd eaten for years. Fruits she believed were helping her. "How can fruit cause this?" she asked. The doctor leaned in. "Because after 65, your body doesn't treat sugar, even natural sugar, the same way it used to. Especially not on an empty stomach." That moment shifted everything. The fruits she trusted were silently overloading her liver, spiking her insulin, inflaming her tissues. Margaret wasn't eating candy. But her body didn't know the difference. That's when she learned. Some fruits are harmless when you're 30 and dangerous when you're 70. The swelling wasn't from salt or age or summer heat. It was metabolic. It was blood sugar. And the 4 fruits her doctor circled? They're probably in your kitchen right now. The moment Margaret walked out of that doctor's office, grocery list in hand, her mind churned. How could something as pure as fruit be behind her swelling, her brain fog, and this strange new weight around her belly? She thought back to childhood. Fruit was always safe. Fruit was what you ate instead of dessert. It was nature's gift. But that was the problem. No one ever told her that after 65, your metabolism changes dramatically. Here's the truth. Not all fruit is created equal, and not all bodies handle sugar the same way, especially with age. What your body could burn through easily at 30, it now stores more readily as fat. And for many older adults, especially women post-menopause, even healthy sugars can lead to dangerous levels of insulin resistance. Let's break this down. Most fruits contain a blend of fructose and glucose. Glucose can be burned for fuel throughout the body. But fructose? It bypasses the bloodstream and heads straight to the liver. If your liver is already under pressure, from years of processed food, medications, or just age-related sluggishness, it can't handle the load. Instead, it converts fructose to fat. That's what leads to fatty liver, visceral fat, and yes, swelling in the lower legs and abdomen. Fructose also raises uric acid, which can cause joint pain and water retention. Meanwhile, glucose spikes from sweet fruits like bananas or watermelon lead to energy crashes, mood swings, and over time, a brain that starts to slow. The result? A foggy head, the tired body, a body storing fat even when you're eating clean. But here's the hopeful part. It's not just what you eat, it's when and how you eat it. This is where the order of eating becomes powerful. If you eat fruit first, especially on an empty stomach, it hits your system hard. Your blood sugar spikes, insulin pours out, and your body goes into fat storage mode. But if you eat that same fruit after a meal rich in fat, fiber, and protein, the sugar enters the bloodstream slowly, gently, like a trickle, not a flood. In other words, fruit becomes safest when treated like dessert. For Margaret, that meant no more mid-morning grapes or banana slices in oatmeal. Instead, she learned to eat a veggie omelet first and have a few berries after. Just that small shift began easing her symptoms. Fruit isn't evil, but timing is everything. When you treat it with the same respect you'd give a sweet treat, and understand how your aging liver and brain process sugar, you can finally stop blaming yourself for the swelling, the fog, the fatigue. Because it's not about eating less. It's about eating smarter. And the smartest place to start? With the first fruit her doctor circled. Number 1, grapes. The sugar bomb you never chew long enough. They're so small. So easy. You don't slice them. You don't measure them. You just rinse, grab a handful, and pop them in your mouth like vitamins. Grapes have long been the poster child for healthy snacking. But for aging bodies, they're one of the worst offenders hiding in plain sight. Here's the problem. Grapes are almost entirely sugar, and nearly all of that sugar is fructose. 1 cup of green or red grapes contains over 20 grams of sugar, about the same as a candy bar. But unlike candy, grapes feel guilt-free. So you eat more and more. But your body? It notices. Especially your liver. As we age, the liver naturally slows down. Years of medications, toxins, and processed food wear it down like a sponge that's already soaked full. When you eat high fructose fruits like grapes, that fructose bypasses the normal digestion process and is delivered straight to the liver. There, it gets turned into triglycerides, fat. Over time, this leads to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, something now common in people who've never touched alcohol. But that's not all. As fructose floods the liver, uric acid levels rise. This not only increases your risk of gout and kidney stones, it also impairs your nitric oxide pathways, which means poorer circulation and, yes, swollen legs. That's part of what Margaret was experiencing. And if grapes are eaten alone, especially in the morning or as a midday snack, the damage is worse. Your blood sugar spikes, your insulin surges, and your body gets the message. Store fat, retain fluid, and slow down. Yet grapes are so often eaten in isolation, while watching TV, as a reward after cleaning the kitchen, or just out of habit. But for someone over 65, this habit can quietly contribute to everything from brain fog to belly fat to chronic fatigue. So what can you do instead? Smarter swap. Reach for blueberries, raspberries, or even blackberries. These are lower in sugar, much higher in fiber, and loaded with brain-protecting antioxidants. A cup of raspberries contains just 5 grams of sugar. That's a quarter of what grapes contain, and almost 8 grams of fiber, which slows digestion and supports your gut. If you still want grapes now and then, there's a way to enjoy them strategically. Eat them only after a meal that includes healthy fats and fiber, such as leafy greens with olive oil or a salmon fillet. Pairing them with a handful of walnuts or a slice of goat cheese can also help blunt the sugar rush. Margaret didn't have to say goodbye to fruit entirely. But the grapes? They were the first to go. Within a week, the tightness in her ankles eased. Her cravings dipped. And for the first time in months, she felt a little lighter on her feet. Because sometimes, the smallest habits, like a handful of grapes, hide the biggest burdens. Bananas. Nature's candy bar in a yellow suit. The banana was Margaret's comfort food. She sliced it into oatmeal, froze chunks for smoothies, and sometimes just grabbed one while heading out the door. It's just a banana, she told herself. Better than a donut. And that's true. But for an aging body already battling insulin resistance and liver stress, ripe bananas can be just as destabilizing as dessert. Bananas are often seen as a harmless, natural energy boost. But that energy comes at a cost. A fully ripe banana contains over 16 grams of sugar and very little fiber. And unlike apples or pears, which contain both glucose and fiber to slow absorption, bananas deliver a fast surge of glucose and fructose straight into your bloodstream. When you're young and insulin sensitive, your body can handle that spike. Your muscles soak up the sugar and you burn it off. But after 65, especially if you're postmenopausal or have even mild metabolic dysfunction, that same banana acts like rocket fuel with nowhere to go. The sugar stays in the bloodstream longer, triggering an exaggerated insulin response. That's when fat gets stored, inflammation flares, and energy plummets. Even worse, bananas are usually eaten on an empty stomach. That morning oatmeal and banana combo? It causes a double spike, fast carbs from the oats, sugar from the banana. That sets you up for a crash by mid-morning, leading to fatigue, irritability, and more cravings. It's not just your waistline that suffers. Studies show that glucose instability in older adults can directly impact cognitive clarity. That foggy feeling Margaret described? It wasn't stress or lack of sleep. It was her brain struggling to keep up after the sugar surge. But here's the thing, not all bananas are equal, and not all hope is lost. Smarter Swap. If you love bananas, choose one that's slightly green, not fully ripe. These contain more resistant starch, which acts like fiber in the gut and helps feed healthy bacteria. They also release sugar more slowly, leading to a gentler rise in blood glucose. Even better, try eating half a banana paired with a tablespoon of almond or peanut butter. The healthy fat slows digestion and reduces the glucose spike. Sprinkle cinnamon on top for a natural insulin sensitizing effect. And remember the eating order rule. Never eat bananas first. Always have protein and fiber first, like eggs, avocado toast on sprouted grain bread, or a veggie scramble. Then, if you still want a sweet bite, treat banana like a dessert. Just a few slices after the body is buffered. Margaret made that change. She swapped her banana oatmeal breakfast for scrambled eggs and spinach with a few berries on the side. On weekends, she still enjoyed half a banana, just not alone, and never on an empty stomach. And within days, she noticed the difference. No more 11 a.m. crashes. No more swollen fingers. Her energy didn't just return, it became reliable. Because the banana didn't have to go. It just had to be retrained. Number 3, pineapple. Tropical and trouble. Margaret always thought of pineapple as her cheat food that wasn't really cheating. It felt indulgent, juicy, bright, tropical, but still healthy. She'd add it to cottage cheese, blend it into smoothies, even eat it plain after dinner when she craved something sweet. And after all, it was loaded with vitamin C and enzymes. How could that be bad? But here's the hidden truth. Pineapple is one of the highest sugar fruits you can eat, and it can be especially harsh on the aging metabolism. 1 cup of chopped pineapple contains over 22 grams of sugar, more than grapes, more than bananas, and almost no fiber to slow it down. That sugar is rapidly absorbed, leading to sharp spikes in blood glucose, followed by the usual crash, fatigue, brain fog, and renewed cravings. Worse still, pineapple is often touted for its digestive enzyme bromelain, which can break down protein. And while bromelain can support digestion in moderation, many older adults eat pineapple in ways that cause more harm than good, on an empty stomach, in large quantities, or paired with other sweet fruits in tropical blends. For seniors with insulin resistance, even small servings of pineapple can overload the liver, worsen fatty liver progression, and contribute to swelling in the hands, feet, and abdomen. And because sugar increases systemic inflammation, it can also aggravate joint pain, stiffness, and autoimmune flare-ups. That pain Margaret felt in her knees every morning? Her pineapple ritual wasn't helping. There's also the gut factor. While pineapple seems light, its high sugar content can feed dysbiotic gut bacteria and yeast, leading to bloating, gas, or even skin flare-ups. For those with leaky gut or IBS-like symptoms, pineapple can quietly irritate the lining of the gut, leading to more inflammation and fewer nutrient gains. So what's the alternative? Smarter Swap. Try kiwi or papaya in moderation. Both are rich in enzymes like bromelain but lower in sugar and much gentler on digestion. Kiwi contains fiber and vitamin C, while papaya offers papain, another natural enzyme that soothes the gut. These fruits still feel tropical and vibrant, but they won't spike your blood sugar nearly as much. Blood sugar hack. If you still want pineapple now and then, treat it like a topping, not a side dish. Add a few chunks to full-fat Greek yogurt, mix into a chia seed pudding, or pair with avocado. The healthy fats in these foods will slow absorption, reducing your glucose spike by nearly half. And of course, never on an empty stomach. Margaret didn't have to give up tropical flavors. She just had to shift her habits. She replaced her evening pineapple bowl with a small kiwi sliced over coconut yogurt, topped with crushed almonds. It gave her the same bright finish, but none of the swelling, none of the fatigue. Because the secret wasn't denying herself fruit. It was understanding which fruits worked with her body and which worked against it. Number 4, watermelon. Hydrating? Spiking your blood sugar? Also yes. Of all the fruits Margaret ate, watermelon felt like the most innocent. How could something made of 92% water be bad? It was her summer staple. She froze cubes into ice, tossed chunks into salads, even munched slices straight from the fridge when the heat left her tired. It felt cooling, hydrating, but behind that juicy sweetness was a metabolic sucker punch she never saw coming. Let's break it down. Watermelon contains both glucose and fructose, two sugars that, while natural, hit fast and hard. A typical slice contains over 18 grams of sugar and nearly zero fiber. That means there's nothing to slow it down. The moment watermelon hits your digestive system, it surges into the bloodstream. For a younger person with high insulin sensitivity, that surge might be handled quickly. But after 65, the story changes. Many older adults, especially those with even mild insulin resistance, experience delayed glucose clearance, meaning sugar hangs in the bloodstream longer. The result? A quick burst of energy followed by a crash, fatigue, and irritability. Over time, those spikes and crashes cause the body to store more fat, especially in the abdomen, and increase cognitive dullness, particularly in the late afternoon. This is what Margaret had been feeling without understanding why. Tired after lunch, slow-minded by dinner, feet swollen by bedtime. Watermelon was refreshing, yes, but metabolically, it was turning her system into a roller coaster. And there's more. Watermelon is often eaten alone or before meals. When consumed on an empty stomach, it creates the perfect conditions for a blood sugar spike, especially if you're already hungry or dehydrated. Even worse, that spike often triggers rebound hunger, making you crave more carbs just an hour later. But that doesn't mean you have to give up the crisp, hydrating experience. Smarter swap. Try cucumber slices with mint and lemon. You'll get the same refreshing crunch, even more hydration, and no sugar hit. Add a sprinkle of sea salt for electrolytes. Or go with jicama sticks, mildly sweet, but high in fiber and very low in sugar. They hydrate, satisfy, and actually support stable blood sugar. Glucose strategy. If you must have watermelon, eat it only after a full meal, ideally one rich in greens, fiber, and healthy fats. Never before. Never alone. And keep the portion small, just a few cubes, not a full wedge. For Margaret, this final change sealed the deal. She swapped her midday watermelon habit for cucumber water and a light salad with olives and lemon vinaigrette. And when she did indulge in fruit, she followed the new rhythm: protein first, fruit last. Always buffered. Always balanced. By the end of that first month, the swelling in her legs was gone. Her energy stabilized. Her mind felt sharper. But more than that, she felt in control, no longer a victim of mystery symptoms or silent sugar traps. Because sometimes, the body doesn't need more medicine. It needs different instructions. And for Margaret and millions of others, those instructions start with rethinking the fruit bowl. If you've ever lived through something like this, please consider leaving a comment in the comments section. You might be the person whose experience helps another viewer realize they're not alone. A single comment from you could be the reason someone else decides to speak up or become alert about their health. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so that you are notified when our next video is live.